The Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous land empire in human history. After this colossal force, which once plunged the entire world into a state of both terror and awe, finally collapsed, where did its vast armies and people go? Many believe the Mongol Empire flickered brilliantly in the 13th and 14th centuries, only to vanish like a mirage, but in reality, fragments of the empire survived on opposite ends of the continent. For centuries, until as late as the 18th century, they continued to reshape the currents of world history in vastly different forms. Today, we explore the survival stories of the last descendants of Genghis Khan, tales often omitted from conventional history books. This is the story of the northern Yuan in the east, who defended the empire's pride by capturing a Ming emperor, and the dreaded Crimean Khanate in the west, who turned the whole of Eastern Europe into a literal hunting ground for slaves. How did they endure for hundreds of years after the fall of the great empire? Our story begins in the east in the year 1368. The magnificent Yuan dynasty, established by Kublai Khan, was driven out of mainland China by the rising Ming dynasty forces led by Zhu Yuanzhang. The last emperor, Togon Timur, abandoned the capital of Dadu in tears and retreated to the ancestral northern steppes. History remembers them as the Northern Yuan. However, they were far from a mere government in exile. They remained steadfast in their belief that they were the sole, legitimate successors of the great Yuan Empire. With the singular obsession of reclaiming the Middle Kingdom, they crossed the Great Wall almost daily to raid the frontier. To the Ming, the Northern Yuan were not just remnants. They were a massive threat that could reclaim their home at any moment. To eliminate this persistent threat, the Ming dynasty launched dozens of massive northern expeditions, spearheaded by figures like the Yongle Emperor. However, the Mongol cavalry utilized scorched earth tactics to isolate and exhaust the Ming armies in the heart of the desert. They filled in wells and burned the grasslands to starve the Ming supply lines, utilizing their legendary mobility to launch raids day and night. The peak of Northern Yuan defiance came in 1449. Sen Taishi, leader of the Oirat Mongols, launched a full-scale invasion of the Ming heartland. The panicked Zhengtong emperor personally led a campaign to face them, only to be completely surrounded by the Mongol cavalry at a place called Tumu Fortress. The result was catastrophic. The Ming elite force of 500,000 was annihilated, and, most shockingly, the Emperor of China was captured alive by nomads. This historic event, known as the Tumu Crisis, sent shockwaves across the globe. The news that the Son of Heaven was now a prisoner in the steppes humiliated the Ming. While the Mongols did not fully reclaim mainland China, the Ming were forced to rebuild the Great Wall into the formidable stone fortification we see today at an astronomical cost to prevent further incursions. Later, under great leaders like Dayan Khan and Altan Khan, the Northern Yuan briefly reunified and even besieged Beijing. However, in the 17th century, the rise of the Manchu-led Qing dynasty, combined with internal divisions, forced the Northern Yuan to surrender. This marked the definitive end of the Mongol Empire's direct political legacy in the East. Now, let us shift our gaze thousands of kilometers to the west. On the sun-drenched shores of the Black Sea, in what is now the Crimean Peninsula, another group of Mongol descendants had carved out a powerful state. This was the Crimean Khanate, established in 1441. While they splintered off from the Golden Horde, they chose a unique and brutal strategy for survival: the slave trade. Geographically positioned at the crossroads between Europe and the Islamic world, they formed a massive market for trading human resources. Every year, the Crimean Khanate dispatched tens of thousands of Tatar cavalry units on missions, known as the harvesting of the steppe. They raided peaceful villages across Russia, Poland, and Ukraine. The Tatar cavalry arrived silently, set fire to villages, killed those who resisted, and rounded up young men, women, and children indiscriminately. Records suggest that over the centuries, millions of people were captured and sold by the Crimean Khanate. These captives were dragged to the port city of Kaffa and sold across the Mediterranean and Middle East, forming the core of the Khanate's economy. It is a striking fact that many of the Ottoman Sultan's concubines and high-ranking officials were originally captives brought from the Crimean Khanate. The Crimean Khanate was a vital and prestigious partner to the Ottoman Empire, the superpower of the Islamic world. The Ottoman sultans utilized the Crimean cavalry as an elite vanguard in European wars. They possessed an innate talent for appearing from unexpected directions to cut supply lines and disrupt the rear of sedentary European armies. In return, the Ottomans guaranteed the Khanate extensive autonomy. Their prestige was so immense that a secret pact allegedly existed. If the Ottoman royal line were ever to fail, the Giray family of Crimea, direct descendants of Genghis Khan, would ascend to the Sultanate. To Eastern Europeans, these Tatar horsemen were grim reapers who arrived in the night to steal away entire families. Even the Russian czars were forced to pay humiliating tribute for years to appease them. However, this reign of terror could not withstand the changing times. In the 18th century, they crumbled before the modernized firepower and southward expansion of the Russian Empire. Catherine the Great viewed the Crimean Khanate as a dagger aimed at the back of Europe and was determined to destroy them. In 1783, Russia finally annexed Crimea and the Khanate vanished into history. This was more than just the fall of a nation. It marked the moment when the millennia-long dominance of the nomadic peoples over the Eurasian steppes was finally broken by the firepower of sedentary civilizations. Geographically separated by the vastness of Eurasia and having never met, the northern Yuan and the Crimean Khanate were nonetheless bound by the lineage of Genghis Khan and the indomitable spirit of the nomad. Both refused to surrender their identity in a world increasingly dominated by sedentary empires. While one stood as a northern rival to the Confucian Ming civilization, never abandoning the dream of reclaiming the Middle Kingdom, the other allied with Islamic power to become the terror of Europe while building a unique economic empire. Though these states eventually fell, they changed the course of history forever. Had the northern Yuan not drained the resources of the Ming for centuries, the rise of the Manchu king, which expanded China's territory to its modern borders, might never have been possible. Similarly, had the Crimean Khanate not pressured Eastern Europe and hardened the Russian state, Russia's expansionist policies might have taken a completely different path. The modern map of the world is, in many ways, the result of the centuries-long struggle of these Mongol heirs. Their unyielding spirit may have lost its form as a sovereign state, but it lives on as a powerful echo in the records of the destruction, construction, and relentless survival of the Mongol fragments.